They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the Outlet Pass Podcast. I am your resident JT McConnell, the homie's homie. More importantly, my real name, Justin DiVirgilio, and damn, it felt good to do that. What episode is this? 39? Man, I should be more prepared again. 39 of these things, and I don't know what episode. 38, excuse me. And on the phone, who just giggled at me because I don't know anything about my episode and the numbers and the order. And my man, Joe DiProsperos, fellow Sixer Sense writer. How you doing today, Joey?
I'm good, man. I'm back home in Philly. It feels good, man. I mean, I don't blame you for messing that up. You had a long day yesterday, man. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to ask, do I amuse you? Since I can't not stutter through an intro. That was a double negative, so I can't speak.
Both our brains are fried, man. It happens.
You are right. Let's see. A lot of stuff's happened because the last episode for the Outlet Pass podcast was, when was that published? Like October, second week of the season. Like LeBron said, the Clippers and Lakers game wasn't a rivalry. Just bringing it back. Taking that much of a hiatus, and not much has changed, but we do have a new phenomenon, and that is Luka Doncic. Everyone is losing their minds over Luka, and deservedly so. I am too. He's just awesome television. Damn near every time you can catch a Mavericks game, and if you have a league pass or on national TV, you don't have to go pay to see him. Joey, what do you make of Luka Doncic so far?
I mean, you can't say enough about him. He's an absolute joy to watch. I mean, he's nearly averaging a triple-double, 31 points, 10 boards, just under 10 assists, shooting close to 50% from the field, around 35% from three on around 9 attempts a game. I mean, just watching him command that offense, number one in offensive rating, by the way, in the league, is so much fun. Just watching him maneuver the pick and roll, all the step back threes. He'll drive to the lane, shoot a laser out to the corners or the wing for open shooters. He's led Dallas to a top 4 seed at this point, 16 games nonetheless in the loaded Western Conference. I mean, like you said, if you have League Pass, there's no reason why you shouldn't be watching him if he's on at any given night.
Yeah, I agree, and it took me, like most people this year, he was real, but this year became more must-watch television because he raised his game to a level where we've seen no 20-year-old perform at, and that's going to be mentioned a lot. It's going to be like when, people were freaking out when Jason Tatum was 19, performing well in the playoffs, except this
what are you
time.
talking about? He's still 19. What are you talking about?
Maybe we got to fix his birth certificate or something. I don't know if they got the wrong papers. Maybe a bench warmers moment for the NBA. But this time, the age and the mind blownness, for lack of a better adjective, is deserved, in my opinion, because he's doing something no 20-year-old has done, and we've seen a 20-year-old or 19-year-old be clutch before, or a 20-year-old, and what's really 1 year the difference make? I don't think it has any. Lukamania is running wild. He's averaging nearly a triple-double, which is great. It's not an anomaly anymore because we've seen it 3 times in the past 3 years, but it's still incredible, and I didn't expect this. I didn't know he was this just better than guys on offense. He knows how to penetrate when he has to, step back. He knows how to size up the defender and do exactly what he wants them to do. I thought he wasn't the greatest athlete, which is probably going to be more detrimental on defense, but he's playing at an MVP level right now.
Yeah, Yeah, like you said, I mean, obviously the athleticism still isn't really there, but I don't know if that really means anything,
I think
especially
it's
on
obsolete.
offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like we said, he's averaging a triple-double right now. Whether he keeps that up through an entire 82-game schedule remains to be seen. I mean, I highly doubt it. But like you said, and we'll get to this later as far as MVP considerations go, if he manages to at least somewhat resemble what he's putting up at this moment, and Dallas maintains a relatively high seed in the Western Conference, he has as strong an MVP case as anybody, really. I see no reason why he shouldn't.
Now, I was just thinking about this because the more Lukamania runs wild, and the more that the Dallas Mavericks start to excel, we're going to be constantly berated about the 2018 NBA draft and what the Phoenix Suns did, what the Sacramento Kings did, and what the Atlanta Hawks did. I can tell you as someone who is, I think, kind of jaded and just I don't like the same narrative being pushed out. Everyone asking the same question. It's kind of rhetorical. Why did they pass on Luka? I don't. Well, we're never going to get the answer until maybe when Luka's 31. So I believe that narrative will still be out there. You've seen it, right? They shouldn't. Everyone. How could you pass on Luka?
Yeah, and yeah, obviously now it's obviously you can say that now, but as far as Atlanta goes, I don't think I've ever seen a trade where both teams end up as happy as both sides on it. Because I mean, obviously, Luka would have been nice for Atlanta to pick up Luka, but I still think they're pretty happy with Trae Young right now. But I've never seen a trade like that ever, where the outcome is sort of like this.
Yeah, I have to agree. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, especially draft night deals with one player, Trae Young. People doubted him, and Luka had the cliche doubt. Well, so did Trae, but I feel like Luka's was easier to dismiss because if you didn't watch him, you could be like, oh, he's just another Euro kid. If you wanted to ignore that he played with grown men for a couple years before being drafted and all that. Now, there was one statistic that when I was watching his 41-point triple-double performance against the Rockets on Sunday night, where the Mavericks won 137-127, I believe, or 123. And in the second quarter, they said Luka Doncic has a 75% layup percentage. And that leads the NBA. So, Joey, where did they get this stat from? And why did they just throw new stats out there? Is it LeBron's fault or is it ESPN's and LeBron's fault? Because new stats just come out all the time, and you can find so many to help your argument and beef up a player and how they're looked at and how valuable they are. I was just very thrown off guard when I saw this stat.
I mean, he's obviously good at making layups. I mean, yeah, there's always new stats coming out all the time. Obviously the most notable and talked about new stat of the new age is deflections, and you have all deflection rate and stuff like that now. But people, like you said, people will always come up with new stats to try to beef up a player's reputation, and it doesn't mean that they're not good, but they can go over the top at times with that kind of stuff.
It's just it's just conveniently pulling them out. And it was interesting. I said 75% layup percentage. Wow, I know he's good at getting to the rim and he gets a lot of layups. I think it has to do with the people that keep these stats padding the way that they have helped transform basketball. If this guy leads the league in layup percentage and he's a killer shooter, like he's the model. Luka is probably one of the new models for the NBA. Am I wrong in my assessment?
No, you're not wrong at all. And kind of related to that, had a discussion with a couple friends of mine. We were trying to come up, and I'll be honest, I kind of hate doing this sometimes. What is Luka's player comp in the NBA? The only names that we could really come up with were Larry Bird, because I think Shannon Sharp on Undisputed one time said that he's the new Larry Bird or like a Paul Pierce kind of guy. What's your take on that?
I think it's probably closer to Larry Bird just due to the playmaking ability. And like not even besides the obvious fact that he's white and they both wear the same number. Not the same number, but the same number in their jersey. He's 77, Larry Bird was 33. That has nothing to do with their comparisons. That's just something they have in common. I thought off the top of my head right now. And yeah, I think Paul Pierce, he's not nowhere near the playmaker or rebounder that Doncic is. And Larry Bird clearly was the greatest small forward of his time and probably the greatest small forward up to this point. If you think that, or if you're a LeBron guy, he's up there. He's a top 10 player.
Yeah. Yeah, in no way are we saying that he is Larry Bird. I'm not trying to say that at all. But just sitting around and having fun and trying to think of guys that he's like.
Yeah, to make you to make you understand better of who this guy plays or who this plays like or who this guy is. That's why we compared them. I'm not saying.
Yeah, and I.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I thought of Paul Pierce just because they're both sort of these pudgy. They look like they're out of shape, 3/4 who can really score at a high rate when you just give them the ball and tell them to go get a bucket.
Yeah, I would say so. Maybe another name that comes to mind is probably not as similar. He just has a similar build, except he's more muscular, I think, or he's more in shape. Is Grant Hill, but that's a reach. That's just someone I'm coming off the top of my head. Clearly,
yeah, Grant Hill never had the range that Luka does.
No, I'm just talking about body wise and just they both play physical, and where Grant Hill is a really good athlete, Luka is a decent athlete he knows his limitations basically.
Which is key to his success, really.
Yeah, it really is. He's one of the smartest. And I'm gonna say it again. One of the smartest 20-year-olds in recent memory. There's a reason why he is possibly going to be an MVP candidate, maybe a finalist, depending on how he and Chris Stapps and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Rick Carlisle and the rest of the Mavericks lead that team, and if they get a playoff spot.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell whether or not they can end up as a top 5 seed in the West, just because the West is just so stacked and good. But
I don't know about that anymore. Some teams are falling just because they're casualties of the injury bug.
Yeah, if they're going to be if they can keep this up, they'll be pretty damn close to a top 5 seed. It'll be pretty close.
Look, if Russ can average a triple-double at, 27 or 28, and they're a 6th seed and they get bounced in the first round, I was against it when he won the MVP then. But if Luka's 20 and he averages a triple-double and he gets the Mavericks to the playoffs for the first time since 2011, 2012, he should win the MVP probably at that point. Just plain simple.
No, if he can get them a relatively good seed and get them to the playoffs, he has a pretty strong MVP case. I don't know if he wins MVP, but he at least he should at least get strong consideration.
I think he'll get a bunch of votes because, writers now really love the international players, specifically the Eastern European guys, and he's one of them. He's the best player from his country already. So.
And also, I've been thinking about it. I've thought about this too. And writers love the new thing too. And Luka is still kind of this new sensation, and people are drawn to that, and which would help his case even more.
I'm looking forward to. This stuff's all fine and dandy and incredible, and we love to watch it. It's an anomaly. I can't wait till people start to turn on Luka, just to feel the people who don't like him, and if they're wrong, or just to feel different energy around them. See if he would pay attention to that, because I bet the players do. They read stuff. I would like to see him, and he's ultra competitive already, in a playoff environment or when people actually doubt him, because now nobody does. I think you'd be stupid to.
I just don't know how you can hate him. He looks like such a good kid.
Well, some people are irrational.
I know. Yeah, no, I feel that for sure.
That's the only explanation I can have, where they thought that the Trae Young trade was a lot better, and they thought Trae was going to be better than Luka. I don't know. They probably have a reason. I don't know. Let's move on to another player, James Harden, who is performing at MVP level, and he is, just brought it to another level. Kind of super Harden is what it feels like. He's averaging 38 points a game now, 8 assists per game. One thing he does need to cut down on are his 5.5 turnovers per game. But Houston's playing pretty well. They're 11-6, and he is the center point of every Rockets game for the Rockets and the opposing team. He's basically the sun, and the rest of them are the planets. Everything revolves around him, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, what else did you expect from him this year? Like you said, he's averaging around 38 a game. He had that sort of slump at the start of the year when he was shooting like 22 or 25% from three-point range, but he's bumped that up to just under 34% on around 14 a game. Of course, his defense is solid again this year, and really, I guess, is it fair to say that Houston goes as far as he'll take them?
Yeah, at this point, I was just thinking about bringing up how this is all like, it's great to be literal, but it's now just him running up the stats and being so efficient, and his usage rate and his true shooting and all that being so great, is that it's just kind of cute at this point because he hasn't delivered like the greats do, and he is one of the greats of this era already, but to be more respected and put in a different echelon amongst his generation of players, he has to step up in the playoffs. The Rockets go as James Harden go. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough again.
I'm not saying he'll do it.
Yeah, no, it's hard to say if he'll do it. Yeah, I mean, with this league, you just never know.
But he needs to do that.
Yeah, and he does. He needs his one. He needs a really good.
He needs his
series.
iconic playoff run. Kawhi did it last year. LeBron did it. I think his 18 run is more iconic, despite playing really well with Miami. You have KD doing it both years, and those are just very recent ones. Harden needs to be James Harden when being James Harden is the most valuable, or should be.
Yeah, it's just I still have my reservations about that style of play succeeding in the playoffs. I just still do.
Why is that?
I just don't know. I don't know if you can win a championship with it. As simple as that. I mean, I can't dive into specifics right now, but I just don't know if it can legitimately win a title.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, just thinking about the history, it doesn't. I can't name any ball-dominant guard doing the offensive marvels that James Harden is that won a title. They came close. They won MVPs, but they never won a title, which at the end of the day, at this point, should be James Harden's goal because he knows he's confident enough that he could walk in any gym in October, November, January, any month in the regular season and light it up. I don't know if it creeps in April, May, and June. Well, he hasn't got to June, but it's just he has that bad game at the wrong time, which isn't what great players do. They deliver more than they fail, or it feels like they do. They do it once, so you always cling to they could do it, and he doesn't have that aspect.
Yeah, and this is all not to say that he is not one of the greatest players of his generation.
You clarify
by a wide
a lot.
margin. It just feel like because we harp on these guys so much that we don't think that they're great. It's just that we just don't know if that's a confirmed winning strategy.
Nah, yeah, we don't know, and we're giving our opinion based on history and what, like, the player could give up a different feeling. I remember sometimes you just believe in them because, all right, this time it'll be different. I did that one year with the Raptors before they won the title. The year before they made the Kawhi trade, I was like, this could be the year, or 2 years before that, one of the two. And they did the exact same thing the Raptors did, and every time they faced LeBron. So sometimes things don't change. I don't know if Harden gives off the vibe this year that it will change. It's a lot easier for it to change because of their nemesis being gone. But who really knows? I'm not confident. I do hope to see it I hope to see it happen because it would be a nice way to end this crazy NBA season if the Rockets finally broke through. Maybe not win, but at least got to the finals. It'd be a great way to, start this decade because of how different this season looks.
I just think that ship sailed after 2018.
Look, I'm with you. I'm just pulling for it for intriguing television. Because I'm gonna watch anyway.
It would make amazing television. I think everyone is rooting for Harden to win the title, but I just think that it just seems like that ship has sailed.
I'm with you, but it'll definitely make great television. And let's move on to the MVP race because, as far as I'm concerned, it's gonna go to 3 of 4 of these players, more likely. The last one, depending on how the team does, is Luka. So the 4 candidates that I have is Giannis, LeBron, Harden, and Luka. Luka is the least likely because of just how good his team is and how good he makes them. It's a combination of both. Giannis looks like he's going to win back-to-back, honestly.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I think it's a tight race for 1 and 2 between Giannis and LeBron. Just because of what LeBron's doing with them right now and has them at number 1 in the West. Again, it's only 16 games in, but I don't think people are talking about Giannis enough. He is literally averaging 31, 13, and 6, and has the number 1 team in the East. And everyone's acting like this is just another year at the office for him, which is pretty insane when you think about it, because that's the level that we have him at right now. That this is sort of the norm for him. But yeah, he's putting together as strong a case as anyone, but I would still give the edge to LeBron just because it's LeBron too. But I think we were going to bring this up later, but don't sleep on Pascal Siakam as a dark horse down the road. He's taken another huge leap this year, and he's kept Toronto in the hunt with Serge Ibaka and Kyle Lowry out for extended periods of time, and even as a number 1 option, he looks insane. So I wouldn't sleep on Siakam either.
Siakam did get some MVP chance last night when I was in Toronto for the Sixers-Raptors game. And it's funny because even when Sixers fans do that for Embiid or Simmons, I'm like, you know how unlikely it is for them to win, right? Like, Siakam would be a great story winning MVP. He's a dark horse for sure. He'll probably finish top 10. By the way he's playing, I'll disagree. I got Giannis. I think he's just so efficient right now. Only playing 33 minutes a night. He has the second highest player efficiency rating. I just learned what that is, so I'm going to pull that stat out a lot now. So beware.
But yeah, it's going to be a tight race between Giannis and LeBron. What do you think it's going to come down to between these two? I'm trying to think of what it would be.
Who plays more games?
Would it just be pure stats or team wins?
I think it'll go with pure stats and how they help the team win, and what losses can be blamed on them and not, and it'll have to do with how many games are played, because who knows if I don't think the Bucks will get comfortable, and I don't think Giannis will let them bench him. I think that'll be an issue. And I don't know about LeBron because he'll get certain off days. I feel like the Lakers should with their investment, depending on when the season is. It'll be very circumstantial. But yeah, it's just going to be individually who's better, because the teams are going to be matched record-wise. I think the Lakers are here to stay, and I think the Bucks are as well.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I picked the Bucks to finish one in the East again, just because they're such a good regular season team. You know that they're going to pick up around 60 wins every given year, and yeah, if it comes down to overall team success and contributing to that success, then you're Giannis probably has the edge in that respect.
Giannis had 50, 14, and 6 last night. I feel like that's the first time he scored 50. And honestly, I maybe be a little gassed on Giannis, drinking the Giannis juice. Pause, if that is a pause, I don't know. And I think he might be able to do it like 3 or 4 more times this year. He could do that again, I think. I think if he has 2 of those, like 3 of those performances, writers remember that stuff because they cover this thing every single day. I think that'll have to do with it. I didn't watch any highlights because I was watching the Sixers game and I was out making sure I didn't get lost. But Giannis having 50 and 15 is crazy. Like, he's so unstoppable. And
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what he can do. It's when he gets out and running in transition. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of this game, but when he gets out in transition, he's literally unstoppable. He can get up the court in like 10 steps, and there's no way to stop him too. And just the way he facilitates the offense,
he's
and
a really good passer.
He's a really good passer for his size. The way he can get busy in the post, he can overpower you, and he can outpower you with his athleticism too, for lack of a better word. But it's just he's just so overpowering and dominant that there aren't a lot of people in the league that can stop him one-on-one.
Him shooting threes now, by not rushing the threes now, he knows the defender's not going to run out of him. They're going to protect the paint first. So he can take like 1 or 2 dribbles and step into one. And he's bigger than usually everybody who's defending him. So he has a good look at the rim. And him just taking more of those types of threes helps and elevates his game to even a higher MVP level. So clearly, you said it, we only have 2 real candidates in this race. It's Giannis and LeBron, which makes sense. The greatest player of the 2000s, I don't know, 2010s for sure, against the new guy who's probably going to be the best player of the 2020s. It makes sense. It's going to be a really fun race. You can't write this stuff. You can't make it up.
This league. Hashtag this league.
Hashtag this league. Let's move on to a team that disappointed last night. Our Philadelphia 76ers. Losing that game to the Toronto Raptors 101-96. First of all, we bigged up Pascal Siakam in a possible MVP dark horse. I really wish it was the 80s or 90s again because he didn't have to dunk that ball. And I wish the next time the Sixers play them, somebody let him know that shit don't fly. You knock him down. Let him know that that's not going to happen. Did that annoy you as much as it annoyed me? Because it built some hate towards Siakam for me.
I'm going to keep it real with you. I didn't realize that happened because as soon as Ben turned around and released that three-point shot, I literally angrily shut down my computer because I knew the game was over after that.
You banged it on the game? Like how you used to hang up on someone back in the day? You slammed the screen?
I was like, dude, it was over. I mean, but I doubt that they'll have any sort of long-term memory with that kind of thing.
I know.
It was just
Joey, but
it was
I
a little
care.
troll.
It annoyed me.
It's whatever, dude. You barely beat us, whatever.
Nah, fuck.
You barely beat them.
Yeah, which is more the reason why you shouldn't have dunked it. But I digress. The Sixers should have won that Raptors game. I thought about this when I was waiting for my plane home. And you know how people complained about Kawhi Leonard, the load management thing? Oh, we paid to see Kawhi Leonard and whatever, right? You remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember that for sure.
So think about this. Imagine paying to travel to see your team to see your team's best player score 0 points. I'm talking about Joel Embiid for the first time ever and probably the only time ever. Imagine spending your money to see that in person. I'd much rather him be out that game. It feels like, but he did.
I don't know if I'd ever be able to go to a game ever again if that ever happened to a game that I attended.
Like, all I was thinking, I was trying to be positive about. I was like, at least I witnessed history here, like, because that'll never happen again. I said it when the first half was ending to one of the people sitting next to me. I was like, this is the first time he's ever been held scoreless in a half. Something's off. That game last night, does that game affect your Sixers' outlook at all?
No, not at all. I mean, it happens. It's November. You can't. I have a rule. I'm not the only one that probably has this rule that you don't start freaking out about stuff until at least New Year's, and we're not even close to New Year's yet. So I have no reason to really freak out. It happens. It's a blip on the schedule. Oh well, just move on.
That's fair because the Sixers got their 4-game winning streak snapped by this loss. I'm not going to freak out, but I am going to keep this one of my Rolodex of things of the competence, the incompetence of the Sixers and how we can't trust them when the game was in their favor. It was an ugly game. There's multiple scoring droughts from each team at certain points. It was in their favor, and they just let the Raptors win that game. And hold on real quick, I got a little distracted. Luka fell on his forearm. I'm watching the Mavericks and Clippers. Hopefully he's okay. Yeah, he's all right. Good. Couldn't have that happen. The amount of injuries we've had to our beloved stars, don't want anybody getting hurt.
Especially him.
Yeah, especially the greatest new story in the league. Lukamania, whatever you want to say. It's going on. Yeah, I like to start measuring at Christmas when it comes to team seasons, depending on who it is. Like, the Hawks have disappointed me already. They're not making the playoffs. I'll write them off, even though I said they'll make the playoffs. I hope you do. Prove me wrong, but prove me right. Prove my past person right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, you can't draw reasonable conclusions after 17 games of an NBA season. You just can't. That's like you can't believe anything you watch until at least New Year's.
It depends. It's a case-by-case basis. I think you can. You definitely can.
Certain things, but yeah, that's a very limited list.
Generally. All right.
It's a limited list, but there are things you can.
And I don't know why I went up to Toronto thinking they would win because the Sixers haven't won a regular season game in Toronto since 2012.
I was a freshman in high school.
Me too. Brett Brown has never won a regular season game in Toronto. They usually get smacked up there. This time they gave the Raptors a free game, allowing them to be second in the Atlantic Division and ahead of them in the Eastern Conference. Man. Other than that,
we vented about this game before the pod, but man, I've never been so mad after a loss.
Yeah, you're telling me. Honestly though, I'm not too worried because when the starters are all right and everybody's performing at least normally, this team looks pretty legit and better than the Raptors. If we want to go back to the Heat game on Saturday night, I know the Heat were on the second of a back-to-back traveling from Chicago, but still, it's a good team to handle and to manhandle them like that at home, a team that can spread it out well, which is going to be one of the weaknesses probably of the Sixers if they get the opposing team gets the ball moving and have guys that could shoot and put it on the floor a little bit. But anyway, the Sixers are fine. This game is going to be in my back pocket of when I want to criticize the team when it goes bad. I'm going to pull this game out. That's just my perspective.
Yeah. All I have to say about the outlook of this team, all right, the starting five has played 97 minutes total through 17 games. They have an offensive rating of 110.7 and a defensive rating of 92.5 and a net rating of 18.2. They're as advertised. They are that good. They're going to be fine. They're going to keep building chemistry. Nobody should be freaking out.
Yeah, but people like to believe their eyes before they believe the numbers.
If you ask anybody in this city, they'll say this is the worst 11-6 team of all time.
Yeah, I think that is very accurate. I'm glad you said that. Because they'll find something to complain about. They'll talk about the negative things. Like Embiid scoring 0 points. He looks out of shape. He looks like he might not be able to bring it every night. Who knows what's up with him night-to-night basis. Ben Simmons still doesn't shoot. He shoots irrational jump shots with bad clock management. They'll probably bring that one up now. And
We could have done a whole podcast ranting about that play.
I can't unsee it. I literally can't unsee it. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he wasn't, or he panicked. But
hey, at least he took it.
hey, at least it was November 25th, and the grand scheme of things doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they just chalk this up as just a bad loss in November. That's all it is at this point.
That's for sure. A team that also in the Sixers division are rival Boston Celtics. They're 12-4, first in the Atlantic Division, second in the East. They are playing pretty well, and much to my surprise, maybe because I haven't paid that close attention to the Celtics, and the media hasn't given me a real reason to, besides that they have a point guard now who doesn't create headlines, that just plays basketball, team basketball, in Kemba Walker. Gordon Hayward's back. Brad Stevens has one of the youngest teams in the league, and he is pushing all the right buttons, and those guys are executing. That's a big part of Boston for me, and they are giving up 7 less points than they score, which also is key. What do you think about the Celtics so far?
Yeah, I think coming into the season, I think we all knew that they were gonna be good. We knew that they were gonna be top 5 just because Eastern Conference
Default.
and default. And we knew that they were going to be good, but I think we still kind of underrated how good they were going to be. And they've been solid up to this point. You know, Jason Tatum's had a really good start to the season. Jaylen Brown's off to a hot start. I think he's shooting right around 40% from 3. Before the injury, Gordon Hayward looked like he was back to his pre-snapped leg and half self. Now, I'm less confident that they maintain this sort of success throughout the entirety of the season. But I still think that they're going to be very, very good, especially being in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were going to it was easy to predict where the Celtics were going to be, at least compared to what they were last year and who they still have. The team's too good. The organization's well run. The coach is well run. They're just a good team basketball. One of the posters of team basketball, I think, in today's game are the Celtics, and that is big praise because I'm supposed to hate the Celtics, and I do when they play the Sixers, but not all the time.
Yeah, obviously sometimes I let my Philly bias sort of get in the way of when I try to evaluate the Celtics, but they're a good team and they're going to be good this year. I still think that we kind of underrated them a little bit coming into this year.
It's because they had a lot of new pieces. And if you didn't follow college, I don't think you could have confidence. You have a healthy skepticism in what the Celtics are doing because it's just unknown. So I don't even know if Celtics fans feel like this because I don't talk to many, but I don't know if you could feel entirely confident unless you did your due diligence because there's a bunch of new faces. So you're just hoping for the best, but you're waiting to see if you can trust them. And I think they've proved that so far. After they lost to the Sixers, they went on a 9-game winning streak, right? Or 10?
Yeah, they won 10 in a row.
Like, why can't the Sixers have a winning streak like that? I can't even tell you the last time they had one. Oh, no, I know one. But that was a shitty one, honestly. It was cool. 15 games in a row to end the season in Ben Simmons' rookie year against a bunch of cupcakes. Whatever. I want to
That's the thing about this league. It can literally happen at any time possible.
Yeah, I just want them to beat legit teams when they do it now. At this point, it was fine that year. Now at this point, I know I'm being picky about a winning streak. I'm trying to make something positive, more negative. But I'm just, I want them to beat good teams because the Sixers are a good team and championship team. That's off on the tangent.
And they still are, and they're going to be fine.
Oh yeah, we believe. And now, last little side note: how much have you genuinely cared about Melo returning to the NBA? Because I didn't want to talk about this because everyone's so happy about it, but it is news, and he is one of the greater players of the 2000s. So how do you feel about it?
It's nice. I mean, I don't want to say he's completely washed up, but I'll just say that there's a reason why he wasn't on a roster to start the season. And it was just sort of it was a blend. It was a perfect storm, really. Hornets needed front court depth. They needed a boost scoring. Melo was available, so they bring him on. And he's been sort of as advertised. He can still score in ISO a little bit, but just the defense is not there. So it's nice that he's back in the league, but that's all it is. It's nice to have him back. That's all.
If you're just a fan of him and you don't expect anything, you just like see him in the NBA and you watch it through Instagram and sometimes you watch his games, this is great for you. For someone like me, not so great. I respect Melo. I just don't think he's that needed in the NBA anymore. Clearly, a bunch of other teams didn't think so either. The Blazers' whole front court had to get injured for them to consider him when they tried to sign him 2 years ago. So what does that tell you? I think him in China would make a lot more sense if he wanted to play competitive basketball. If he wanted to try Spain, go ahead. It might be too fast for him, but I think a different place if he wanted to continue playing basketball. I think he should have went for, because this Blazers run is just going to be a weird annex year of Melo's career. And apparently, it's not a farewell tour this year. It's not just he wanted to get back and then be done. He wants to continue playing. Do I think a team will give him that opportunity after this season? No, I'm still going to stand firm. I'm going to say no. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll see. This is just a one-trick pony kind of season for him.
It's a gimmick.
But, yeah, I don't want to say it's a gimmick. The Trailblazers
Those are my words.
Did have Portland has a role from him, but whether or not there are any other teams out there that might have that sort of need next year remains to be seen. But like we discussed, as pure basketball fans, it's nice having him in the league, and I'll just keep it at that, because I don't want to hate on him because he's a legend in the game.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think if he wanted to play a higher quality of basketball, more tailored to his style, it would be more fun to go somewhere else. But that's how I feel. A bunch of people are happy that Melo is in the league and back, hitting threes, pulling up for pull-up jumpers, screening guys, doing all the things Melo does, just at not in his prime level, because age is going to get you at some point. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Do you have anything to say to the people, Joey? Plug anything else?
Of course, I always love the plug. And as always, thank you, boss, for having me. It's always a good time, my guy. You can follow me on at JoeyD_6 on Twitter, and that's a capital J and a capital D. And you can find me on Instagram if you want to, at JoeyD_6, no capitalized. And as always, go follow my guy Justin on everything.
Appreciate that. You're very pedestrian with it. If you want to follow me, here's my shit. If you don't want to, it's cool. I'll
my social media is boring, man. I'll be real.
Yeah. Sometimes I think the same thing. It's just I'm on my phone so much, but it's like I don't feel like posting. I don't know if you.
It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, it kind of is. It seems very simple because it's with your thumbs, but sometimes you have to put a little effort into it.
I overthink it all the time. That's my problem.
I feel you 100%. And on that note, let me plug my stuff. _J DiVirgilio on Twitter and Instagram. Follow the Outlet Pass Podcast on Instagram at the Outlet Pass Podcast and on Twitter at @pass_podcast. Follow it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Search the Outlet Pass Podcast on Apple, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Subscribe, rate, review it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell me if it's bad or good. Like, share, repost. And on YouTube, Justin DiVirgilio. Subscribe, like, comment. Tell me if it's bad or not, or if it's good. I'd like some of your feedback. And this has been the Outlet Pass Podcast, episode 38. The ball being our opinions. And we're passing it out to you. Peace.